So here's the Hempworx difference. So this is something that I'm very passionate about and excited to share with you guys, because in the beginning of Hempworx, this is literally what we did. We went state to state and we shared this information with people, and it created such a massive movement all across the country. Really, it was mostly just the United States at the time, because hemp had just become legal again. And I don't know if you guys know this, but previously hemp had been banned for 70 years. So this is very historic. The timing couldn't have been more perfect for Hempworx to come out. And it's just a very, very special part of our business that I'm going to share with you guys today. So a couple of statistics to share with you guys, CBD industry statistics. So aside from hemp, we all know that hemp does a million things, creates fiber, ropes for boats and Navy ships. It can create clothes. In fact, the shoes that I'm wearing and the clothes that I'm wearing from Hemp Mama are all made from hemp. You know, even during the prohibition of hemp, the U.S. government decided to make it legal for a short time during 1942 during the war. And Hemp for Victory was their slogan that they said. Basically, they needed everybody to start growing hemp so they could win the war, because it created, you know, a better economy at the time. And they used it in the war as well. So then after the war was over, they banned it again until about 2014 with the Farm Bill. So decades of no hemp in our history. But before that, it was everywhere. So a couple of statistics here. CBD sales in the U.S. hit 4.6 billion in 2020. That's pretty insane. It's a $5 to $15 billion industry by 2024, more than 20 billion by 2025. So as you can see, it's just growing and growing. Sales of CBD could reach as high as 11 billion by 2027. And you can see it's kind of an even split for demographics. So I know when CBD was first on the scene, everybody thought it was marijuana, and they were like, I'm not taking that. You know, we kind of went through that whole thing. But now we're seeing a lot of people are becoming more educated, and we're seeing more diverse age groups and demographics using this oil. So let's talk about the history really quick. So hemp is among the oldest industries on the planet, going back more than 10,000 years in the beginning years of just doing pottery. But I want to share with you guys a little bit more of that history. So it's actually, so if you go back 5,000 years to 2700 BC, I'm going to read my notes really quick here. So over 5,000 years ago, there was a Chinese emperor named Shen Nung, known as the father of medicine. So he used this. He compiled actually a medical encyclopedia, which included medicinal substances from vegetable sources, and the hemp plant was among the noteworthy. He used it to treat people with all kinds of issues. Of course, I'm not going to say what that is on this call today because compliance is watching me, but as you can fill in the blanks, it was used to help people with a variety of issues. Okay, but during the 2nd century AD, the Chinese surgeon, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Huo To, began to use the plant as anesthesia during surgery. That's insane. And you can assume why that would work for that. I'm not suggesting that you use hemp instead of anesthesia that we have today, but back in the day, they used it as a form of, as like a numbing agent. Centuries later, it made its way to Europe. And so, you know, I know people are like, hey, Hemp Mama, some of these clothes, you know, say China on them. Well, that's because that's where the hemp industry was birthed, really. It's where it goes all the way back to China. But during the centuries later, it made its way to Europe, used by its state leaders and royalty, including Napoleon Bonaparte of France and Queen Victoria of England. When the Europeans first settled in North America, in Jamestown, Virginia, they brought hemp with them, you guys. And when they settled there in this new world, began growing hemp. And in 1962 in Virginia, they awarded people for growing hemp, and they penalized them for not growing hemp. It was just so important and vital. So a couple of other fun facts really quickly as we kind of go through this history. In the 1800s, over 90% of medicine was made from hemp. That's insane to me. So anyway, we have this vast history of, you know, hemp in our history. Not only that, cows were grazing on hemp. So it was in our food supply. You know, it was in all of our medicine. It was in our clothes. It was in our, you know, you can make oil from and all kinds of things. So America, they were legally bound to grow hemp during the colonial era. and during the Second World War. Now, in 1937, Congress passed the Marijuana Tax Act. So I'm going to share it with you really quickly here, but John D. Rockefeller, if you guys know the Rockefeller family, he's the patriarch of that family. He made all his money in oil, and he wanted to capitalize on another industry, and he got into drug manufacturing. And so with this exchange of power, we saw hemp beginning to disappear from American culture, and then it became less and less known all over the world. But in 1937, Congress passed the Marijuana Tax Act, and this began the era of prohibition. Now, there was no reason for them to do this other than it was a threat to medicine and other large industries that were emerging at the time. And now that we know this, we can do better. Now, in 2014, the Farm Bill allowed certain states to have access to growing hemp, and Kentucky was one of those states. Hempworx came in contact with Kentucky, the state of Kentucky, and their hemp program, which is what birthed Hempworx. Now, in 2018, the Farm Bill was signed into law, and this ended the 5-decade prohibition era. So let's talk really quickly, what's the difference between marijuana and hemp? So like I said, in the beginning of all of this, CBD craze, a lot of people were confused. We had these weed leaves all over our shirts and our clothes, and we were loud and proud. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. And we had a lot of people that were confused because they thought that they were going to get high taking our products. And we had to keep educating and educating and educating and saying, listen, it's the same plant. They are cousins of the same plant, but they're different species. They're bred completely different. They even look different. Marijuana is more of a wider plant that grows outward and needs lots of space. On the other hand, hemp grows very tall. It's very stocky, and it tends to grow outside. Marijuana grows better inside. So they have different features and different characteristics. One of the biggest things to note is that marijuana is very high in THC, and it's low in all the other cannabinoids such as CBD. But the hemp plant is very high in CBD and other cannabinoids and very low in THC, which means the CBD or the hemp plant won't get you high, whereas a marijuana plant with high THC would. It's been also known that, now I should say that there are studies done even through the government, PubMed, you can look it up, that there are showing now studies that the hemp plant may be even more medicinal than marijuana itself. So that's interesting because what happened during this craze, medical marijuana comes out, right? So that's kind of interesting. But I just wanted to share this with you guys so there is a difference. Now, a few years later, of course, we figured out how to extract the THC from hemp, which is what creates Delta 8 or Delta 10. So THC from marijuana, we call that Delta 9. So some people are probably thinking, well, if you take Delta 8, it does feel like you kind of get high. Well, yes, because we figured out how to extract THC from hemp. And when you isolate it that way, you can get a psychoactive effect. However, when all the cannabinoids are together and it's very low THC, you're not going to get that psychoactive effect. So let's talk really quickly, why is this so important to the human body? So it wasn't even until 1988, and I'm going to just reference my notes here, but in 1988 is when we first figured out that we had an endocannabinoid system, or an ECS for short. Now, the CBD molecule was first isolated in 1940 by American chemist Roger Adams. In 1963, so 20 years later, Dr. Raphael McCullum discovered the complete chemical structure of CBD. But the significance of CBD wasn't fully realized until a new system of the body called the ECS, or endocannabinoid system, was discovered in 1988. The ECS is a network of cannabinoid receptors that are present in the brain and abdominal organs and throughout the body, really, in all major organs, that's in all mammals, including humans. So that's kind of interesting. This system plays a key role in regulating many natural functions of the body. So this is something that maybe your doctor didn't learn in doctor school, okay? Because it's something that's, I wouldn't say new, but newly discovered and not widely recognized, although it definitely exists, and you can see all the studies on that as well. But basically, you have a digestive system, you have a respiratory system, you have, all kinds of systems in your body. What the endocannabinoid system does, which has receptors throughout the whole body, is it helps regulate the body's biochemistry. So what does that mean? Sounds like a lot of, big words and jargon. What does that mean? It means it creates homeostasis, creates balance within the body. So this is your checks and balances system for all other major systems in the body. So when your body's not in balance, what happens? Disease sets in, right? So while we can't say CBD cures anything, we can say that it does help balance the body's major systems. We do know that for sure. And what's other interesting fact is almost everybody that is over age 25 is deficient in cannabinoids in their body. Now, you can get cannabinoids in other places in your diet, not just CBD, but it's very, very high in CBD, obviously. But breast milk, cacao, there's certain other things where not CBD, but cannabinoids are present, which is another reason why they could not fully outlaw it, because it's just present in other things, not just, in the hemp plant. So just a few interesting things about the ECS. Feel free to screenshot this or take notes on this if you want all that information. Now, I want to say before I go to the next slide that I did discover this book here. And if I could put the road shows that we did in 2017 and 2018 in a book, this would be the book. And you guys, I have no idea how I even found this book. I was unpacking, and it's called The Most Important Health Discovery of All Time: How a Nutraceutical Phenomenon Enables Your Body to Heal Itself. That's what it says. I'm not making claims of all diseases. That's what the book says, okay? And it's by Danica Collins. And if you haven't read this and you want to know the full story of hemp and CBD and how it's made its way into our society, or re-entered, I should say, this is a phenomenal book. So I just wanted to say that. And some of this has come from that book as well. Okay, so really quickly, I want to skip ahead really quickly to this one, and I'm going to go back a few slides. I literally changed my slides this morning and it reverted back, so we're just going to skip ahead. All right, so what exactly is CBD? CBD is a naturally occurring chemical that grows in hemp plants. It's just one of 100 plus beneficial cannabinoids. There's a lot of cannabinoids actually, and they work synergistically together in a full spectrum blend. So let's talk about that. What's full spectrum CBD oil? Well, full spectrum CBD contains all the beneficial compounds that are naturally found in hemp, including terpenes, flavonoids, fatty acids, and cannabinoids like THC. But not just that. So CBD, CBG, CBN, CBC, THC, all together. Now, one thing I want to say is when you have a full spectrum CBD oil tincture or blend, you're getting the whole plant. And when you get the whole plant, it creates an entourage effect, which means these compounds work synergistically together to give you an even more powerful impact to your body versus if you were to take them isolated or individually. Now, the interesting thing about CBD isolate, that is a product that we used to have, okay, but we don't anymore. And the reason is this, is because there's now a patent on CBD, but through the lab. There's a couple pharma companies that are working on their own isolated CBD medicine. And so we moved away from the isolate. But what we found is the isolate doesn't necessarily work as good. Okay, broad spectrum is almost like an isolate, but really it only isolates the THC out. So you're getting the full plant minus THC. So people who are sensitive to drug testing or exposed to drug testing at work, or have issues with THC in whatever form, and they want to just try it without THC, but they want all the rest of the goodies in there, the broad spectrum CBD oil is designed to do just that. So it contains the variety of everything except for THC. So if I had to recommend one and drug testing is not an issue, I would suggest full spectrum CBD oil as the most potent and powerful blend. Now we have this in a few different strengths, and I'm going to get onto that in just a few minutes. All right, let me go back here. So like I said, here's the difference. If you want to see it in a graphical view here, full spectrum is the full plant. Broad spectrum is the full plant minus THC, no THC detected. Okay, so let's talk about the Hempworx difference. Now, when Hempworx first came out, CBD was so expensive. It was almost so expensive that we almost were not able to even go into business, because every tincture was very, very expensive, and it was plus, shipping and everything else that goes along with it. It was almost a dead business before it was before it took off. And, the manufacturers at the time were like, well, you could just water it down. You could dilute it. You could, add some fillers and, flavors and things like that. And, that way you can make it cheaper. And I had such powerful results for my own life, my own experience, that was just not an option. Like, honestly, I was like, I don't care if I go broke doing this. Like, this is like, people need it, and they need it in its full integrity, and they need it exactly the way it comes out of the ground. We can't be mixing things in the lab and making things look, cheaper or whatever. Like, we have to keep the integrity of this product. And that's what created the Hempworx difference for us. So these are some of the things that we do differently that maybe other companies aren't doing or are just maybe starting to do now. So let's talk about farming. So we grow in the USA. We use a fresh lock drying method. What does that mean? Well, if you've seen your grandparents from the 70s or whatever, if you ever had grandparents like I did, hippies, okay, you see them growing hemp or marijuana or whatever interesting plants they're growing in their house, and they're drying them. They're drying them probably in their garage, or they're hanging them up, okay? And that's because they need them to dry. But the problem with this slow drying method is that mold can set in, and then that affects the integrity of the final product or the finished product. Well, through our farming, we have the ability to fresh lock dry our cannabis within 4 minutes of harvest. So there's no mold, no toxicity, no issues there. So it's also FDA compliant. If you're interested in those labels, you have it right here. All right, so let's go to testing. We test very rigorous testing, actually. We do gas chromatography testing, antimicrobial testing, certificate of analysis is provided, and we have a potency test. So basically, whatever we say is on the bottle is what's in the bottle, and we don't take any shortcuts with that. The extraction method matters. We don't put any harmful solvents. We don't use alcohol or ethanol or chemicals to isolate the cannabinoids in our products. We use a CO2 method, which is free of harmful solvents. It's a low temperature extraction so that the integrity of the plant is withheld in that in the finished product. We also use minimal ingredients. We don't add a bunch of things you can't pronounce. Literally 3 ingredients, and you get a Hempworx tincture. CBD, the active CBD, hemp seed oil is what we use as our carrier oil, because we do believe that hemp belongs with hemp. And people ask, why don't you use, coconut oil? Why don't you use, ethanol extraction? Why don't you use? Because we found that it works better when it works together the way it's naturally intended to. We also have steam distilled flavors that are natural as well. So if you can see behind me, and I'll share actually this way. You can see behind me, I have all of our tinctures here. We have a lot of different flavors, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit up close on that in just a few minutes. It's also organic and non-GMO. So that's really important, because with CBD being a relatively new industry, there's not a ton of regulation on it right now, which means there are bad actors in the industry that are able to get away with putting shady things in their products and not having to disclose it. So that's the downside of being in a new industry. We have taken upon ourselves to just be on the up and up from the start, and we use American farms with all organic methods as well. So that's really important to note, and things you can ask competitor brands before, trying them. So what I always say is, do they have documentation? Check their documentation. If you can't go to their website and figure out what's, in their bottle, then probably it's not worth trying. There have been situations where people have tried other brands and have gotten sick because their quality control is just not the same. Testing and documentation. So we've got a passion for creating products that work. We also provide a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not completely satisfied, now I'm going to tell you guys, when I first started taking these oils, I think it was 7 days. And I knew for sure this was something that I needed to take forever. But we're going to give you 60 days to try it out to see the results for yourself. And if you're not happy, send us back the bottle and we'll give you a full refund. We've got a huge passion for hemp. I can't even tell you guys, after I looked into the history and why it was taken from us and how we brought it back to the masses, I have a huge passion for hemp, and so does the rest of the company, really. We believe in full transparency, with our customers and our affiliates. And so we are literally just trying to provide the best of the best out there. And that's what we've been able to do. So let's get on to our products, because I have a lot of products to share with you guys. Okay. All right. So let's talk about our tinctures. I'm going to get a couple here. A couple of our flavors. So they come in 3 different strengths. So 500, 750, and 1500. Now, I said there's 2 different kinds. So we've got broad spectrum and full spectrum. Now in the box, they look almost the same, except you'll see this one says no THC. So that's how you know it's a broad spectrum oil. We've got all kinds of different flavors, 7 different flavors. And again, they're natural flavors and they're amazing, honestly. I don't know what your guys' favorite flavor is, but mine for sure, I think is the Orange Sunshine is my favorite. Also, I want to show you one more thing. Once you open the box, another way to identify if it's got THC or not, you can see on the slide as well, but the no THC ones have a white cap, whereas full spectrum has a black cap. Okay, so our soft gels. These are our 2 soft gels that we've got. We've got a CBD curcumin, and we have, oh, sorry, I'm doing this backwards. Here we go. Curcumin and CBD plus melatonin. So if you have trouble sleeping at night, this is a great formula to use. And it's a slow release formula. So when you're taking it, it's going to hit just at the right time and help you sleep throughout the night. It's phenomenal. I will tell you guys, when I came out of my 4th C-section, I'm not going to tell you what I used this for, but I'll just tell you that this is all I took when I left the hospital. And this made a huge difference in my recovery. So it delivers a robust antioxidant activity throughout the body, 25 milligrams of CBD per soft gel. There's 50 milligrams of turmeric roots in the curcumin extract. There's 5 milligrams of melatonin, but also 25 milligrams of CBD per soft gel. And there's 750 milligrams for the whole bottle. So some people ask, well, if I take the tinctures, can I take the soft gels? You can. Some people want to take the tinctures in the morning. They'll take maybe these at night or vice versa. I wouldn't suggest taking the melatonin in the morning, but you know, you could take that one at night and your oils in the morning, or vice versa, or you could skip a day or however you want to do it. It wouldn't hurt you to take them at the same time either, but you'll be sleeping probably better than you've ever slept in your life if you do a little more than you need to. I'm just going to say that. All right, so really quickly, our Hempworx coffee, I don't have a box with me right now. It's in our break room actually here. Hemp infused coffee. It's not just coffee though. We actually have chaga mushrooms in this as well. It's vegan, gluten-free, and keto. It's brewed with Arabica beans, organic as well, chaga mushrooms. Now, why that's important is because it's like a healthier version of coffee. There's also no THC in this. And it's a good way to just wake up. And what I love is they're in ripsticks, so it's super easy to sample, share, and take with you on the go. Our CBD gummies. This was one of our newer additions to the Hempworx lineup. These are phenomenal. So if you're not interested in taking oils and you're more of a gummy person, these are definitely something that you want to try. We have 2 different flavors here. Well, this one's an assorted flavors pack, so you're going to get all kinds of flavors in there. Orange, passion fruit, wild cherry, and tropical burst. And then this one is the orange passion fruit just by itself. All right, so vegan, gluten-free again. You guys, first of all, it's really difficult to find instant coffee that is gluten-free. It almost doesn't exist. Okay, I went to Africa with Josh before in 2015. We were in Ghana, and where else were we? Well, we were in Ghana, and we only had instant coffee every single day. And every single day I had a massive headache, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I'm just eating the same thing I always normally eat, you know, for breakfast or whatever. And I couldn't figure out, it was the coffee that was making me have headaches every time. And I realized it's because most instant coffee is not gluten-free. Well, ours is. Most gummies that you see out on the marketplace are not gluten-free. Even in the cannabis world, you go to a dispensary, you find the gummies, usually they're not gluten-free. So cruelty-free as well, and vegan. Most gummies are not vegan. Ours are, so that's phenomenal. All right, let's talk about our pets really quickly. We've got our dog treats. These are literally like baked cookies. They come straight out of an oven. They're corn-free, wheat-free, cruelty-free, beef-flavored, so your dogs will for sure love them. 2.5 milligrams of CBD per treat. No corn, soy, added sugars, or any garbage in that, so that's good. Also, our pet oil. Some people will use this with their cats as well. Most people are using this for their dogs. Now, people have asked me before, why isn't it as high as 750? Why is it only 250? Well, that's because the therapeutic range for animals is much lower than it is for humans. So if you're finding that it's not enough, which it usually is, honestly, I would say lower the dose to probably work better. But you could increase to see, where that therapeutic hotspot is for your animal. It also depends on how, big your animal is. If you're trying to give this to a horse, you may need a little bit more than if you're trying to give it to a Chihuahua. So just keep in mind, you have to play with it a little bit. No GMOs, no fillers, no harmful ingredients, and the animals absolutely love it. Tastes like bacon. Now, if you were to try this yourself, it doesn't taste like bacon. It tastes like rubber tires, but for some reason, when you give it to your animal, it tastes like bacon. It tastes like bacon to them, not to us, just so you know. All right. So let's talk about our topicals. We've got 3 topicals in the Hempworx lineup. We've got Refresh, which is our daily moisturizer. You can use this daily in the morning and at night, or what I like to do is I like to use the Revive Night Cream, which is a very powerful, lightweight, powerful moisturizer that improves your skin tone appearance while you sleep. I'll use this one at night, and then I'll use the Refresh in the daytime. But if my skin is super dry, I'll use Revive at night and Refresh on top after it's absorbed. And then our Relief Cream. Funny story about Relief Cream, you guys. Okay, so I somehow injured the left side of my body yesterday. I think because I was cracking my neck too much, and then something happened. I got super sore, and Josh, he offered to rub Relief Cream on my shoulder last night, and I was so tired, you guys. He opened this thing, and he got it all in my hair and all over my shirt, and I was smelling like Arnica, Montana, however you call it, all night long. So anyway, it does smell pretty good, but it's very potent. It is a cooling cream, and it works topically on any sore aches and, muscle things, whatever you've got going on. We've had a girl come in here, her head was hurting. I put some on her temples and the back of her neck, and within minutes, it seemed like she was feeling better. So this is one of our best sellers out of all of Hempworx. So if you haven't got the Relief Cream, go get that. If you're looking for a new skincare regimen, try these daily moisturizers as well. All right, hair care. So let's talk about hair for a minute. Let me grab the shampoos and everything. So one thing I want to point out here is look at how massive these bottles are. This is like salon size, salon quality hair care. And it comes in 2 different formulas. So we've got original and we have deep hydration. And it's sodium chloride and paraben free. There's no THC in it, and it's just hemp seed oil. So for dry, damaged hair, all hair types, it's color safe. You can use it on extensions, and you will actually be really amazed when you try this because it has a natural detangling effect. So if you've got curly hair like my daughter, whose hair literally turns into dreadlocks by the end of the day, this has been phenomenal to keep her hair right. So just throwing that out there. And then we also have a hair mask that comes in 2 different kinds, or 2 different formulas. And I can show you guys these as well. So we've got, again, original, and we have deep hydration. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in here. Super like buttery and creamy, and it smells amazing. If you know the smell, you know it. It's just so good. And I let this literally sit in my hair just like for 15 minutes before I wash it out. And I don't even have to brush my hair. It just detangles. It's amazing. So can't say enough about that. But we have an exclusive blend for this shampoo and the rest of the hair care, and it just works phenomenal. All right. So really quickly, 2 other things in our Hempworx lineup. We have hand and body lotion. This is contains shea butter for extra hydration. It soothes dry skin. It's a very comforting scent. I love the smell of this, actually. There's no THC in this as well. And it doesn't contain CBD. It just has hemp seed oil, all right? And then the Pure Glow Hair Serum. So I'm going to show you guys how this works. So I have my super long hair here. This smells amazing. It doesn't weigh your hair down, and it doesn't make it oily, which is amazing. It literally just hydrates, makes it silky and frizz-free. No THC in this either, and it does not contain CBD. You don't need CBD in your hair products like it would be a waste of CBD. Anytime you're mixing like a cleanser with CBD, you're basically washing CBD down the drain, which is why we don't do that. But hemp seed is very powerful for your hair, your skin, and all that. So I have just a little bit on my hand right here. I'm just going to put it like this and check this out. Live demonstration. And it just goes right through, and it just hydrates the ends. It's your flyaways. I could have did this before I got on here, but I wanted to show you guys just how awesome it is. So if you can see my little video up there, you'll be able to see. And it doesn't leave your hands super gross either. It actually smells pretty good. All right. Last but not least, we have our CBD bath bombs. They come in 6 different scents. They're vegan, gluten-free, cruelty-free, non-GMO, they're handmade, and they're natural. 30 milligrams of CBD per bath bomb. I know our UFC fighters love these because they come out of a fight. They're all banged up. They love to soak in these. I've seen their social media of them talking about it. It's kind of funny when you see a big dude that's like, yes, CBD bath bombs. But hey, I mean, no shame in their game. They love how it works. Also, if you've got fussy toddlers like I do at nighttime, we let them each have one, so because it has to be equal and fair. And they unwrap these things, throw them in the bath, and they love to watch them fizzle until they dissolve. So just showing you guys our bath bombs, and all the ingredients and everything is included in the package when you buy it. So that is basically our Hempworx lineup, you guys, and what really kind of made us different. But there's just one thing that really separates us from everything else, and I will say it's our passion. You know, it's our passion. It's our love for hemp. It's our love for the CBD industry. It's just, there's a lot of people that came into this industry after the fact because they saw that it was a trend. We got in before it was a trend because we saw the results that people were getting. We saw the impact that people were having in their lives. And because of that, that's why we went into Hempworx. My personal story, you know, when I met Josh, I was sick and I didn't even know I was sick. You guys, my hair was falling out. My skin was just all over the place. I was getting crazy, weird rashes all over my elbows and knees. And it was just so random. And I didn't know what was happening. I was only 28 years old at the time. And my health was just deteriorating. And I couldn't figure it out. And, you know, I went to the doctor and they said, well, you've got to eat gluten-free. So I did that for 2 years and with very minimal results. I still couldn't go to a restaurant and eat. You know, it was getting to the point where every little thing was making me sick. It got to the point where I could only eat like raw vegetables and like no grains at all. And I was losing a lot of weight. So this is what sparked my interest into alternative, you know, solutions out there. That's what kind of turned me into this whole cannabis world. And at first I thought it was only, you know, marijuana. And I was like, well, I'm not a pothead. You know, I don't know how to even do any of that. You know, I was like trying to go to dispensaries to find the right formula, the right solution. I couldn't find anything. So it wasn't until, you know, we partnered with this farm in Kentucky. They sent me a product to try. And I kid you not, within a week, you guys, my health symptoms and everything I was going through began to reverse. And so I took that, you know, to Josh and I said, this, whatever this is in this bottle, this is phenomenal. And we need to get this, and we need to get this out to the masses like right now. And he said, okay, so you want to do CBD and network marketing at the same time? And I said, absolutely. What better way of spreading the word than getting out there, you know, going a big way, you know? And he said, I don't think we could do that. You know, that's high risk. You know, there's no way. And I said, well, I have to do this. Like, this is my life calling. This is my mission. I have to bring this to the people, because if I sit on this and I keep it to myself, I will be doing a disservice to the world. I knew just instinctively that this was what it was meant to become. And he said, well, what are you going to call this business of yours? And I said, I'm going to call it Hempworx because this hemp works. And he said, that's catchy. You know, let's see if we can get that name, you know, check the domains and all that. So we got it all done. And, you know, it started out as just a little Shopify website, because he wasn't ready to put it into MyDailyChoice. And you guys, I kid you not, I started a Facebook group. It went from 0 people to 100,000 people in 8 weeks. And then before I knew it, it was 200-300 orders coming in every single day. And then within 8 weeks, I said, Josh, we have to put this in MyDailyChoice. The people have spoken. This is a viable product. People need this. People want this. They're willing to drive all over the country to find it. And we have to bring it to the marketplace. And he said, all right, let's do it. So May in 2017 is when Hempworx merged into MyDailyChoice and became one of the biggest brands that the company has seen. So with the help of Hempworx, we were then able to catapult into many different brands, but that is essentially the Hempworx story that I'm so proud and honored to be able to share with you guys today. So thank you guys so much for hopping on. Hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you guys for hopping on and look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Bye guys.